Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I want to talk about right now, if there is somebody listening, and I think this also encompasses everybody, you want to really up your game. You want to thrive in life. You want to move things forward, whether it's your business, whether you're a business leader, whether you're just a regular person. There are 5 things you need to know, core needs, call them core values, potentially, that are going to get that done for you. What are they? We're going to hand it over to this guy right over here. He is an amazing coach that helps leaders, entrepreneurs, everybody move it forward. Coachingforrelevance.com is his website. He is Mr. Randy Swaim, and he's back on the program with us. Hey, Randy, how are you?
Hey, good to see you, man. Good to be here as always.
Yeah, good to have you back. I see you're in your normal mission control. Sometimes we get you. You have an aviation background. You teach flying as well, which kind of what we're talking about here, flying and thriving.
There you go. And if you think about it, the whole concept, a lot of my concept of organizational maneuverability is taking pilot's lessons where you have to learn to be successful in events that were not predictable, kind of thing, and placing them into leading your team in a situation that you couldn't have predicted, and how are you going to get maximum results. And so, yeah, those two are aligned, that's for sure.
Well, let's go for those maximum results. If you want to thrive, we got to go for the 5, right?
Cool. You bet. Well, I'll tell you what, let me just mention these. I'll include 1 or 2 comments about each one, but I'll kind of bring it out, and then we can kind of explore and chat about them just a little bit. But again, they come from a PhD who actually has some, I think, psychological knowledge. And her name is Dr. Kathy Koch, and she's very good. She actually has written her own book, but what she calls them the 5 core needs that everybody has that really translates to essential for thriving in life. And because if these are not key, then your brain tends to disconnect, slow down, and all that. And so what I liked about it was she didn't bring a lot of neuroscience aspects to it, but there's a lot of neuroscience application to it for sure. But let me just kind of mention the 5 to start with here. And the first one, she said the first core need was security. And what she described that as a question of, who can I trust? If I'm working with you today, deep down inside, do I have a sense of trusting you? Or does it make me insecure, kind of thing? And so security was the first core need. And she brought out the question of, who can I trust? And that's a key point in it. The second core needs that she identified was the need of identity. And the question she brought to that was, who am I really? Who am I really? Am I a control freak, narcissistic person? Am I a true team builder? Am I somebody who really envisions, solutions that maybe somebody else didn't see, or whatever? In terms of my identity, who am I? And that's a good question. That was her second core need. Her third core need, and it was very interesting because the third core need that she described was the need of belonging. And the question that she put to that one was, who wants me? When you're talking about a radio show, who might want me on their show? Or if I'm out there selling, kind of thing, how are people really going to want me to be a part of what they're doing, kind of thing? Or in leading my team, do I lead it in such a way that without me controlling and pushing and pressuring, my people want me to be the leader, kind of thing? And so the first 3 were security, identity, and belonging. The fourth one, and it's very interesting, is the core need of purpose. And the question she put with that is, why am I alive? Why am I here? Kind of thing. And I know for me, the point for me, my fundamental why it matters, if you want to call it that, or the purpose, is to be free. And that doesn't mean to be able to control everything. That means to be able to contribute, to be able to think through, to be able to bring some thoughts out, even if they're not the thoughts that somebody wants to adapt right now. And it may not mean that I always get to do exactly what I want to do, but I at least have in my case anyway, I at least have the freedom to discover the purpose and to apply my purpose of being able to think through, being able to envision and all of that without having to just shut my brain off and do what somebody told me, kind of thing. So the fourth need was purpose, which is, why am I alive? Why am I here? And interesting, it's the fifth one, and this is sort of very interesting, I loved it, was this aspect of competence. And the question that she brought is, what do I do well? And guess what? There may be some things that, if you and I are on the same team, there may be some things that you're very competent at and I'm not, or vice versa. Can we still be on the same team? Yeah, because we can both lead at times when what we bring is key and is there, and we can gain a sense that we're both very confident in what we bring, and we see how that can be competent together and all. So I found it very interesting. Again, her name was Dr. Kathy Coach, PhD, and the 5 core needs for that are essential for thriving in life were security, identity, belonging, purpose, and competence. And I thought those 5 were so key, but just what I bring, and I'll definitely let you, throw in anything, but when you're a leader, if all you're doing is just saying, this is how we're going to do it, guess what? You're probably disconnecting half of your team, at least, because you're disconnecting their need of this. But am I leading? And this is a big difference between true leaders and self-interested, narcissistic control freaks, kind of thing.
Yep.
True leaders connect with this in such a way that even if you have to make a choice that is not what the teammate wanted, you can still do that in a way that you connect with their 5 core needs in a way that makes them feel like they're still part of the team. And it's just a huge fact. But when she brought these 5 up, I went, oh yeah. In fact, I just posted them, gave her credit for the quote and everything, but I posted those this morning now on my social media and everything, because they're key. But those are the 5 core needs that she described. And there's a whole lot of others, but these are kind of the top 5 that we have to think about. And when we're talking about leading our teams, we got to be able to interact that way. And you know what? If we're talking about the person that we report to, we may have to be honest. We may have to be a touch candid, but can we still do that in a way that we enhance and connect with their 5 core needs? And so it's interesting with what she brought out and with the question that she attached to each one, I thought was huge. And it brings a lot of neuroscience awareness to it. So it's just very valuable when you're talking about leading your people, because if you do it in such a way that you're just going to tell them what to do and, tell them you better follow me and all this sort of stuff, all of that can be shut down. And you know what? They're not bringing the positive results to your team. You've disconnected them, or you've undercut these. And it doesn't mean that it's always a certain way. It doesn't mean that it's always, if you're talking about identity, belonging, or purpose, that doesn't mean it has to be my total definition of it. But as you connect with your team member, how do they experience that definition? Now, if they're trying to be a control freak, guess what? Maybe that's not good for everybody else in the team, kind of thing. But so there are some things that you got to be aware of on that. But if you connect with them and you connect with your people in such a way that you have a sense of what these 5 look like for each of your team members to the best that you can, or if you're talking about, you're an executive level person and you've got people that are working for you that are leading their teams, are you building this awareness in them so that when they're working with their teams, that does get passed through? And, when you're talking about leading teams in a challenging, unpredictable environment, guess what? this is some of the things that's going to bring out the radical solutions when you weren't even there. Maybe when you didn't even see the results. You may have one team member that because of a couple of these, they bring out a solution that you go, oh, wow. And your boss comes to you and says, man, how'd you guys do that? That was incredible. I would have never thought of that. Yeah, kind of thing. But these are the 5 core needs that Dr. Koch brought out. And I just gave a big thumbs up to it because it does bring a lot of that neuroscience awareness to it.
They really are key. And Randy, do you feel that if you've identified these 2, the others will fall into place? And they are, who are you? Once you figure out who you are and also what your purpose is, if you really nail those 2 things, do you think the other things will fall into place, like the confidence or the feeling secure in a situation? Would they all kind of fall around you the way they should be?
I think that there could be some truth in what you just said, because if you get a real sense of kind of why am I alive now, there's ways that individual people can twist it. If I say, well, I'm here to just get this done, which is a lot of narcissistic people would think, I just got to achieve this, kind of thing. And they kind of have that little crazy idea on there, or I just, we got to make $1 million by next year or whatever, that kind of stuff. That's cool, but that's not the central part of you. That may be what your team wants to do. But if you think about it, why am I alive? If it's like, I want to make this kind of money, and by gosh, I want everybody patting me on the back, kind of thing. You're disconnecting from all that, because I think there is a degree of what you said, that if you truly understand what I do truly well, not what do I control, but what do I truly do well, and why am I alive? And you have a sense that, okay, my team experiences that, not because I try to control them or sell myself, but because of our day-to-day activity, they sort of experience that and they respond to me a lot better. And you know what? Who wants me? Belonging? I've gotten some experience that my team does, kind of thing.
We have instant feedback based on just what we're talking about at this
Go
point.
For it. Cool. Yeah.
Justin checks in at instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. He's in Ocala, Florida. He says, I struggle with knowing if I'm in the right profession. How does one tell what their true purpose in life should be?
And his name was Justin. Yeah. And Justin, I hate to say it this way, but if we were coaching, I would ask you all sorts of questions to get you to think through that. Because here's the thing that, part of it is, okay, what do you truly desire? What is it that really kind of gets you going, kind of thing? Like I say, for me, my journey was was pilot back in the day. That's what my vision was. I still am, obviously, but the first question that I would ask you is, in your thinking, in your mind, what stands in the way of you knowing? And I would get them thinking about, what is it in here that is keeping me from understanding that? What is it? And one thing is, what do you do well? Okay. Well, guess what? You may do it well, but if it doesn't give it that sense that that's really the purpose for me, what is it? And I think I shared with you on a previous show that I was actually coaching an attorney friend of mine, and I was coaching him on strategic planning for his law practice and all that. And one of the things, in fact, this is you mentioned, but he thought that his real reason for being, what we would call the why it matters back in that time, his real reason for being was to win. But you know what? When he said win, it was kind of like, well, to win, kind of thing. And I looked at him immediately, and I just kept asking him some questions. And all of a sudden, he turned, his whole demeanor shifted. The tone in his voice, the look in his eye, his nonverbal communication as he was telling about a situation in the military that he experienced. Not bad on the military, but it was just a situation internationally that he observed. And what he realized is his real purpose was to be right. And he realized that that is what got him into defense attorney rather than prosecution attorney, because he thought back about our Constitution, about how even if you're totally guilty, you still have the right to somebody defending you. And he realized that that aspect of being right was what drove him to everything. Because I shared with him, I said,
wow.
Your demeanor just changed. What's that about? And this is where he came to that. So what I would say for Justin is, the first question I would ask you is, in your vision, in your mind, what is it that's standing in the way of you being able to get clarity on that? And you might kind of take him back to some experiences he had before or whatever, and all that. But the bottom line is, there is a process. But I will say this, Justin, can you identify it if you get serious about it? Yep, you can. Your brain can get there. Your experience can get there. And then, once you see that, will that change a lot of this stuff? Absolutely. You may
Do you
find
think it's also, like, I've often heard, and I feel it myself.
Yeah.
When you're doing your job and you realize that it doesn't feel like work, because they always say, do what you love. Or if hours pass by and it's like, oh, wow, I didn't even realize that. No, I'm going to keep going. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a real good indicator of you're doing what you're destined to do?
As much as I hate to say it, it could be either way. It could be because inside here you're going, yeah, I'm glad of that. That's cool. I'm glad I did this, kind of thing. But it could be, well, okay, yeah, well, I can just go relax now. And so it sort of depends on what you're actually sensing and mentally sensing.
Let me clarify it then.
Okay.
The two situations where it doesn't feel like work, hours go by and it's like, wow, that was easy. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
But you feel a sense of fulfillment inside. Like, I've done what I should be doing. I did a good job. And it wasn't even that hard. It just, I did my thing and it feels good.
And if you had that kind of a response to it, it's very possible that that's why you, depending on the job and all that kind of stuff, it could be that that's your purpose in your mind and in your vision. And if it is, keep on going. And you know what? It might be something that, yeah, this is my vision. This is my purpose. It is my competence. It's something I do well. But you know what? Do I trust myself to even take it up a notch, to push it up to the next level?
Really good point. It is.
And so when you talk about the security of who can I trust, one of the questions is, okay, do I trust myself if I just say, okay, I'm happy? Maybe not. Maybe you want to take this to the next level where it takes it up one notch or whatever. Again, nothing right or wrong either way. But all of those are some of the things you want to think about.
I see where you're going with that, because if it's your true purpose and you feel fulfilled, why wouldn't you want to step it up? Because it could be even that much better. And what is your purpose? I believe that your purpose is, you've got that's your gift. You've got a gift to offer the universe.
Yep.
And you were given these gifts, and now you've nailed it. Like, if you're in the right position, job, career, you found it, you're giving back to the universe. Why wouldn't you want to give more and like you said, elevate it?
Yeah. And you know what? It could be very sincerely that part of this whole thing is, I got married 2 years ago, and you know what? I love doing this, and I'm love doing this, but you know what? I'm also glad that I don't want to take it up a notch, because part of this purpose, competence, identity, and all of that is, I want my family to be good.
Well, yes.
So there's a lot of factors like that can come into play there, but having that mindset and having that thought process is just key. So there are some times, absolutely, when, you know what? Yeah. And it may be that, why am I alive? What do I do well? Who can I trust? Who am I really? And all that, and who wants me? That could be tied to a bigger spectrum of me, rather than just what's in my job. And so those are some of the questions that somebody that was kind of pondering that would have to think about. But you're right, exactly true, that would help clarify and bring out the clear vision of what are those 5 core values for me in my life.
100%. And so I guess we'll abridge what we just said. If you're doing what you think you should be doing, and why wouldn't you want to elevate it and give more to the universe and more of yourself? It's got to make sense. So let's just say your family, your personal situation, it would impede on that, even though in your mind's like, yeah, I could do it, and it's got to make sense. And that's where you just tap the brakes.
And it could be that when you ask yourself the question of taking it up in a notch, where do I want to do that? You know what? I want to do that at home because I want to help my kids get this sense. I want to help my kids have a vision when they grow up, that they believe in daddy, that they believe in where they're going. And you know what? Maybe what I'm doing here, I want to apply that at home a little bit too.
Sure.
And so there's a lot of that aspect in it that can be a part of that. But from a leadership standpoint, are you aware of kind of how all that really fits into your people? And because some of the narcissistic managers of today may come to that person who's very comfortable with where they are, and they say, "Why don't you want to go do more?" or whatever like that. And I'm being a little bit jokey with it, but you know what? You do that, you're shutting your people down. It may be that they're right there, and I'm going to use you with what you want to do right there. I'll look for somebody else who wants to go up to that next step.
And it could also be, what do you do in that situation where your superior, your leader is asking you to do more, and you may say to yourself, yeah, I'm capable, I'm qualified, I don't believe I should be doing that, I'm not getting compensated. It could be a situation like that as well.
You know what? And all of those are things that you want to kind of keep into play on that. And so that these are 5 really key aspects of these 5 core needs that Dr. Koch brought out. She has my total compliments on that. And as a leader and with developing your team and all of that, it may be that you have 5 people on your team and 3 of them want to go to the next level. The other 2 don't, but they're bringing great value to it. You know what? In that case, yeah, let's go with the 3 and let's applaud the other 2. Let's compliment them. Let's keep these 5 core needs going on in their experience here. And that's what a lot of people kind of forget about.
Got a minute or 2 left. I want to circle back on the 5 core needs to security.
Okay.
Security. In my journey, I have come to believe that there is no loyalty in the workplace.
In some cases, there isn't.
I'm going to say for the most part. I'm sorry, but I'm going to say nothing is guaranteed. We're back in the day, if you brought value, you were a great employee, all of that is all good. It could end tomorrow. It's just good. Yeah, that's the way it is.
It could.
Where do you go with that in terms of at your job feeling secure? Is it security in your mindset saying, well, you know what? If the bottom drops out, I got this. I'll figure it out. I'll find another position. Is that part of it, your own faith and security?
Well, it's really, who can I trust? If something drops off like that, am I one of the ones that I trust for me, myself, that I can bring what perhaps somebody else wants also? But are there people that I work for here that I trust totally? I think I shared with you one time before, the head of training at the company that I work for over at the airport mentioned that he was asking about me all over the building, basically. And he said people were just talking me through the roof. And it's not because I asked him to say anything or anything. I didn't even know he was asking about me. But do you feel like you can trust the people that are on your team? Because you know what, there might come a time where, it all falls apart, but it may not be directly because of you.
Sure.
It may be something economically or something outside of that.
Absolutely.
And do you trust the people in your team there? But also, do you trust yourself? Not that you can go out and sell yourself to somebody else, but because of who you are, people get a sense that they want to click with the person that you are.
Yeah.
And can you trust yourself in that? Because when you talk about truly trusting somebody, that could be a lot bigger than most people realize, but easier to get to.
Well,
It's not.
why would people want to connect and click with you? I feel it goes back to the other two out of three, knowing who you really are, what your identity is, and also what your purpose is. So once you have that, you kind of exude that. I call it confidence, but also the likability, because you're doing what you feel you should be doing, and it kind of falls into place. We're out of time.
Okay,
I can keep going. This is great.
Well, I'll just say the last little thing here with what you said, absolutely. But to a certain extent, do the people that are around you experience within themselves what you're talking about without you having to talk about it? And it's that part of connection. So yeah, collaboration that you mentioned a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. And by the way, in terms of what I was saying here, I'm not even speaking from the leadership angle. I'm talking about just the people on the team, that level. Coachingforrelevance.com is your website. This is just, one little aspect of all the major nuggets that you offer in terms of insight, helping people thrive and move their lives forward. Free consultation. Do you offer that?
Well, I'll tell you what, I would offer an opportunity to chat kind of thing. And sure. I will say this, that there have been a couple of people along the way that I could realize that one question, if they answered that one question, they wouldn't need to hire me. And in a lot of cases, I just asked them that one question. And there's been one or two, they didn't need to hire me because it was revolutionary for them. But if somebody's struggling with something and we need to come up with a coaching engagement, yeah, we'll do that. But I don't do cold sales pitches or anything like that. If somebody wants to meet and just develop a relationship and all of that, I welcome that. So yeah, it's connecting with people is what that's all about for me.
If somebody's struggling with their job position in life, my advice, starting point, rewind this podcast, go back to the beginning. Because it's all there.
It's a good point. And I'll tell you what, like I say, Dr. Koch, she has my compliments for bringing this.
I agree. Yeah. Key stuff and good stuff. Randy, thank you so much for being with us.
Sounds good. Well, we'll see you next time, buddy. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.